Hi everyone. So today we're going to work on solving polynomial equations. So we're going to take the factoring of polynomials that we did the other day and apply it to the solve portion, which means set it equal to 0 and figure out what x is. Now remember, our goal is that we're solving the equation, and again we were finding the solutions, which means that we're looking where the graph crosses the x-axis. Okay? Now there are other points to solving, solving applications and things like that, but I think we're going to just focus on the graphing point of this. All right, so our goal today is that we're going to solve polynomial equations. So we have three main steps. Now you're going to write the equation in p of x equals 0 form for some polynomial function. So basically that means set the polynomial equal to 0. Okay, and make sure it's in order. Again, highest exponent, okay, highest degree, descending order. Okay, so if it's to a fourth, you're going to have blah, blah, blah to the fourth, and then we should have a cube, a squared, an x, and a number. Okay, so then you're going to factor. So based on the factoring techniques we've been talking about, so we're always looking for a GCF. Then you have your specials like difference of squares. Let's just write the symbols. How's that? Difference of squares, a squared minus b squared. You have the sum and difference of cubes. You have when it's 4 terms. You have, okay, so you have all these factoring. So GCF, remember we know what these all do. And then you have your regular factoring split distribute box. Split / box. Okay. All right, so then we're going to want to use our zero product property to find the roots of zeros, meaning that we're going to set our factors equal to 0. And solve. Now, if we are unable to do that, okay, so let's say it's a quadratic that can't be factored, then we're going to want to use the quadratic formula. So remember that's x equals negative b square root b squared minus 4ac whole thing over 2a. Okay, and that's when it's x squared only. Okay, so we're going to try a variety of problems to do, and there are some rules I can give you, but there's also like you have to look at it and decide which method you're going to use. So there's a lot of decision making need to be done here. But again, we always start with GCF. All right, so here, okay, so we're going to find the real or imaginary solutions. So I could come into play. Okay. All right, so we're going to set, since this is already factored, we're going to set each of our factors equal to 0. Okay, and since we can just add 1, so I'm going to solve this by square roots. Square root both sides, which means that right now my two solutions for x are 1 and negative 1, because you know square root of 1 is 1, right? Over here we get x squared equals negative 4. We get x equals plus or minus the square root of negative 4, and this is the I thing that we did before. So we're going to pull this out, I, and then square root of 4 is 2. So we have plus or minus 2i. So our answers are 1, negative 1, 2i, and negative 2i. Again, we're going to check and make sure that our answers match our highest degree. Okay, so let's try this guy. It looks pretty ominous-ing. But first thing we're going to do is get him equal to 0. Okay, make sure he's equal to 0 in descending order. So I'm going to subtract the 5x to the 4th. And I'm going to add the 2x cubed. So add 2x cubed. So I'm going to add that with this. Okay, and we're going to subtract the 5x to the 4th. So I'm going to put it in order. 5x to the 4th plus, and then 6x cubed equals 0. So that's our first thing. We're always going to want to make sure it's equal to 0. All right, so again, we're going to look for a GCF. I see that everybody's got an x cubed. So x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. And now it's a squared. Squared means I can try and factor. There are factors of positive 6 that add up to negative 5. That's going to be negative 3 and negative 2. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I really got to stop doing these at night. Okay, here we go. X minus 3, x minus 2. And now we're going to set each of these equal to 0. Okay, so over here we get 2. Over here we get 3. And then basically x cubed means that 0 is a root 3 times. So we would say multiplicity of 3 here. Okay, so you have 3 zeros, a 3, and a 2 for a total of 5 roots. And that is also our degree. So we've got them all. Okay, so that's kind of like thinking about how many answers should you have. All right, let's try this one. All right, again, we're going to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract the 1. Now I'm looking at, all right, I have 2 terms. It's a cubic because we have x cubed and 1 is a perfect cube. We're going to have to use our rule that we talked about yesterday. We're going to cube root everybody. We're going to keep our sign. So this is going to be x minus 1. And then we're going to square the first, opposite, multiply the 2 together, plus square the last. Okay, now we can set x minus 1 equal to 0, but this guy does not factor, which means that we're going to have to use quadratic formula. Okay, so we're going to go back to identifying A, B, and C. So A is equal to 1, B is equal to 1, C is equal to 1. Everybody's 1. Okay, so we're going to go opposite of 1, plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4. A is 1, C is 1, all over 2 times A, which is 1. So negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 4 all over 2. Negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 all over 2. So negative 1 plus or minus I, square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so there's 2 of our answers, because remember, plus and minus means there's 2 of them there. And then I'm going to bring this guy back down. X minus 1 equals 0, so x equals 1. So our solution is 1, and then negative 1 plus or minus I square root of 3 all over 2. Okay, so let's go over here. Okay, so as you can tell, these problems get longer and longer. We're not going to have as many to do. All right, so here's a 4-term polynomial. So remember, 4 terms means that we're going to group. I always like this guy for group. So I'm going to put parentheses around the first 2, put parentheses around the second 2, and then we do GCF. So GCF of the first 2, I see an x squared. GCF around the second 2, I see a 4. Okay, I see my 2 binomials that I have in parentheses are the same, so we're good. We did it right. So x plus 3, and then x squared plus 4, and then we're always equal to 0. So we're going to set them equal to 0 and solve. So over here we're going to subtract the 3, negative 3. Over here I'm going to subtract the 4. We're going to square root both sides. Always plus and minus when we physically square root. So x is going to equal plus or minus 2i. Okay, so there's our three answers, -3, +2i, -2i. Okay. There's a lot happening here, so take a minute and make sure that we're okay. Because I'm going to do a couple more. I'm not going to do all of them, just because we'd be here for a little bit. So I'm going to pick and choose a couple out of the next 6 to do. Well, we haven't done one with the 4th yet, so let's do this one. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 4. Okay, so we're going to factor this just like we did the other one, split, distribute, or box. So I'm going to do box with this one. So I'm going to multiply first and last. Okay, so that's -4x to the 4th. So we need factors -4x to the 4th to add up to -3x squared. We're going to just keep doing the same thing that we did before. Okay, so when we did x squareds, we made it x and x. So we're doing x to the 4th. We're going to do x squared, x squared. So we need the pair that add up to -3. Looks like it's this guy. All right, so I'm going to do box here. Gotta move my box. Okay. Remember, everybody goes in a specific place. And then the other 2 boxes are what we found. Okay, so we're going to GCF. So that's x squared minus 4 x squared plus 1. So our solutions are x squared minus 4, x squared plus 1. Now we're going to do what we just did. Set each of our factors equal to 0 and solve. I'm running out of room. So x squared minus 4 equals 0. X squared plus 1 equals 0. Add the 4. Square root both sides. Subtract the 1. Square root of -1 is I. Okay. All right, so you know what? I'm going to move that so we can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right. So it doesn't matter if it's squared or 4th. As long as they're even, we can do our box or split distribute method. Okay, so let's see, what other one do we want to try? All right, let's do another one of those. Let's do the 6th. We'll do one more after this. Yeah, one more after this one. Okay, it's already equal to 0. It's already in order, so I'm going to take out an x. That gives me x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4. There we go. Okay, so again, we're going to factor like we did before. Multiple factors of this to add up to -5. So I'm going to go -1x squared and -4x squared is going to be my pair. There they are. Okay, and I'm going to do this one but split. So I'm going to make this x to the 4th minus 4x squared minus 1x squared plus 4. All right, I'm going to take out an x squared minus 4. Take out a -1 x squared minus 4. So we get x squared minus 4, x squared minus 1. And everything's equal to 0. Now you kind of have a choice because you can keep factoring, which might be a thing that you want to do. So you get x minus 2, x plus 2, x minus 1, x plus 1, and then you can set all 4 of these equal to 0. So our answers are 2, -2, 1, and -1. 4 answers. Makes sense. Our values are, oh, and I forgot 0. Crap. I forgot the 0. Don't do that. So we have 5 answers because we started with x to the 5th. Okay? So your number of answers has to match your degree, the highest exponent. All right. No, I don't know which one we want to do. Oh, let's do this one. It's a cubic. All right, so we're going to cube root. So this is going to be 5x 3, and we're going to keep our sign. So make 5x minus 3 square opposite multiply plus square. Okay. All right, so this guy we can set equal to 0. But when I set 25x squared plus 15x plus 9 equal to 0, he does not factor, so therefore quadratic formula is equals Now, one thing you're going to notice after doing a bunch of these, you're always going to get an I. Okay, one thing I don't know is 225 minus 90. 900. Negative 675. Okay, so, let's find this one. We're going to add the 3, divide by 5. So we get 3/5 and negative 15 plus or minus I squared root of 675 all over 50. All right, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Please stay safe out there, and I will talk to you again real soon.